It's Monday, March 10th, 2014, and let's talk about what happened this weekend over at XDADevelopers.com. First up, attention goes out to owners of the HTC Butterfly S. An over-the-air update to Android 4.4.2 has started rolling out to this device, and this has been captured and made available by XDA forum member N69. And in addition to bumping it up to using KitKat, you also get some new things like cloud printing support and some new Bluetooth profiles. But unfortunately, it does remove the Flash player built into the browser. But still, realistically speaking, I honestly have not touched Flash on a mobile device in a couple of years now, and I can't say that I'm missing much. The grand majority of things that are Flash-based, there either tends to be an HTML5 version if it's video, or there's a mobile app of some sort, so you might be alright. So again, if you are an owner of the HTC Butterfly S, be on the lookout, or go ahead and check out the forum thread for all the details and the download link. And actually, speaking of updates, as of this weekend, CyanogenMod 11 Milestone 4 became available. Although having said that, and having seen the portal post and everything, I went on over to their website to take a look at it, and maybe I'm just looking in the wrong place, but when you click on Milestone, there weren't any actual device builds that showed up. I looked under experimental, and those all looked old. Looking under the nightly, of course, there are nightly builds available, but again, maybe I'm just looking in the wrong place, but I didn't see them out there. But one way or another, you can always head on over to the CyanogenMod site for more details on that one. Now, the next two stories I definitely thought were worth mentioning were a couple of mods for different devices. First up, some of the Sony Xperia devices released back in 2011 were unfortunately a bit underwhelming, at least in terms of the video department, meaning that when they were released, they would not do 720p video. However, thanks to XDA forum member MiniUser123, owners of the Sony Xperia Mini, Xperia Mini Pro, Active, and Live with Walkman can now change some things on your device, flash a new ROM, flash a new kernel, and then flash a zip to it, which will enable 720p video recording with 30 frames per second video. So that is definitely a step in the right direction, and if you're an owner of one of these older devices and you're still using it and you want to see higher quality video out of it, you should really take a look at this modification. Although do keep in mind this is not going to affect the sensor in any way, you're just going to get larger resolution video using the same sensor, so it might not be the best video ever. Just gonna throw that out there. And actually, speaking of adding new functionality where we thought it may not have been possible before, the Nexus 5 and a lot of other devices at this point come with the Snapdragon 800 processor, which has a low power core that's really not being taken advantage of for many things at this point, and it specifically can be used for audio purposes. Well, XDA senior recognized developer Explode Wild decided that he wanted to do stuff with it. So he made a post over on Google+, doing a proof of concept where effectively he can say something to the effect of, "Hey Snapdragon," or whatever other phrase he deems to be a hot phrase, and it will wake up the device. This is similar to the sort of always on, always listening concept we've seen in things like the Moto X, but it's something, again, we thought wasn't necessarily possible with the Nexus 5. Well, as it turns out, after reading through his thread and reading through some threads on some other sites, it is most likely not going to be doable simply because of some licensing and patent-related issues. So while you can see this proof of concept in Guillaume's video, it may never actually come to fruition, at least not legally come to fruition. But at the same time, one way or another, it is nice to see this additional functionality that we didn't really think was going to happening, at least for somebody. And it is entirely possible that something will get released by somebody at some point. Not saying Guillaume's going to do it, but maybe somehow it will come out eventually. And at the same time, that person may be stricken down and taken to court by, I think it's Nuance that actually owns all the patents to that. Don't you just love the patent system? And the last Android-related story I wanted to mention actually came out late tonight, because as you know, I film these the night before they get uploaded, so this is Sunday night. Today at South by Southwest, Sundar Pichai, the Google Senior Vice President over Android and Chrome, came out and mentioned that Google is going to be putting out an SDK for wearable devices for Android. Now there's one part of me that says, that's really cool, they're going to start supporting wearables officially, and then there's this other part of me that says, better late than never, I suppose, because wearables have been on the market for quite a while now. I mean, realistically, last January, we were talking about wearables, and they were wearables that ran Android, and now it's a year and several months later, and they're getting around to it. So that's awesome, but at the same time, could have happened a little bit faster, I suppose. The cool thing about it is it's going to make sort of a unification of how you get Android onto wearables and how you get Android onto devices like that. The bad thing is it's very, very late in the game, sort of. There's a lot of wearables already coming out, a lot of them with Android already on them. So while it may provide an easier path to getting these wearables Google certified with Google Play services and things like that, it means that a lot of companies are going to sort of have to start over, or going to have to go back to the drawing board to make some changes to their existing firmwares to make them compatible. But again, to wrap it up, I am a big fan of this. It's just, it seems a little late in the game. And the very last thing I wanted to mention, a story popped up on the portal this weekend about Firefox OS of all things. Because apparently, and this was kind of completely out of the blue for me, Sony has posted some changes to Firefox OS's Bugzilla to add widget support to Firefox OS. They posted a video over on their Developer World blog showing off how they could add widgets to the lock screen and the home screen, and then take them back off, things like that, which is definitely a level of customizability that Firefox OS has not had up to this point, and would be extremely useful in my opinion. The little bit of time I have spent with Firefox OS, that was one of the key things I felt it was missing, aside from just the bevy of apps that you really have to be a competitive mobile device platform. So that makes me wonder, do you think that this would sort of push people to sort of do more development for Firefox OS? I mean, it is all HTML5, so it's not like you're going to have to go really far out of your way to develop for it. And actually, that's going to be about all from me for today. It was a little bit of a short weekend. As always, remember, if you like this video, hit that like button down below the video. If you like me and what I do, you can head on over to my YouTube channels to check out the videos that I make. The links to those can be found down in the video description. You can find the links to all the stories I talked about down there in the video description as well. And you can subscribe to this channel to receive our content as soon as it becomes available. Thank you so much for watching though, and I will see you again next time.